Hey guys, it's Windy from Windys.Art. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to show you 2 easy mountain landscape painting you can try when you're bored at home. The level 1 painting is like color blending style. It's very easy and great for beginners. And then the level 2 painting is more detailed. Both painting would be great for wall arts or even just a small card for friends. Now if you're ready, grab your pens and paper and let's start painting. Let's start with the level 1 painting. Before start painting, I use my paper masking tape to tape around my paper, and this will create a white border around the painting. After I'm done with that, I paint it directly with no sketch because it's a very simple shape. I'll be using wet on wet technique for the whole painting. This will be good for practicing, and you can get ready for the level 2 painting. So I use clean water to paint out the mountain shape. It doesn't have to be perfect shape, just make sure in the shape every edge is covered with clean water. It's quite important of how much water you apply on the paper. If you see a small puddle, that means you apply too much water. You can dab it with a napkin to absorb the extra water. Then I apply color while the paper is still wet. I suggest to pre-mix color beforehand so it's ready to use when you're coloring. Feel free to choose any colors you like. I'm using some cool tone colors like blue and purple, and I apply it on the area where I wet the paper. Because the paper is still wet, you can see the color blends out nicely. For the top mountain, I use the same painting process as before, apply clean water first and then add colors while the paper is still wet. Then I add the details on the left side of the top mountain. Simply paint out the darker contour and shape. For middle mountains, I use same wet on wet technique for coloring. Make sure you leave some blanks between 2 mountains so they stand out more. Continue adding colors while the paper is still wet. For the sky, I'm using diluted sky blue for that. I wet the paper before I applying colors. After I'm done with that, I go back and add the second layer on the bottom mountain. I first wet the paper with clean water, and then I add darker shades around the edge so they pop out more. Lastly, remove the masking tape and that's it. Super easy and great for practicing wet on wet techniques. Now we've finished the level 1 painting, we can move on to level 2 painting. This painting has more details, but some parts are using the same painting process as level 1 painting. So after I take my paper, I start applying clean water around the background. You can sketch a basic mountain shape first, so it's easier to see where to apply colors on the background. After I'm done with that, I add colors around the sky. I'm using some blue and purple tone colors here, but feel free to choose any colors you like. Continue adding darker colors while the paper is still wet. Now the background is about done. Cause the background color is still wet, if I add colors around the mountain now, the color will blend through each other. So I start painting from the bottom area of the mountain. I first applied a base layer and I add darker shades around it while the paper is still wet. Then I pen out the darker details. I use dry brush technique here to create the texture. Then I use purple tone color for the base layer of the shadow around the right side of the mountain. Then I add lighter shades on the right bottom area. It's a brighter side, so I dilute my colors for the shadows. Next, I go back around the center part and I add darker details. Now the background is about dry, I add darker details around the edge and make sure to avoid reflection areas. Then the base color of the shadow side is dried, so I add darker details. You can use dry brush to add more textures. I also use that technique to add textures on the reflection side as well. Lastly, I add highlights on a certain area to make it pops out more. Now the painting is about done here. Comment below and let me know what do you think about it. That's all for today's video. I really hope it's helpful and you've enjoyed it. If you do, please give it a thumbs up and make sure to subscribe to my channel and ring that bell so you never miss out on my weekly art videos and tutorials. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next week. Bye!